Alright, these are all the biggest fitness influencers at the moment, and every single one of them claims to be natural. But today we're going to be ranking them on a tier list on how natural I think they actually are. Starting at the top with Mike O'Hearn natural and going all the way down to 100% convinced natural. And before I get started, I just want to say there is pretty big misconception at the moment as to what is actually achievable naturally nowadays. So I'm not going to be ranking these like a Greg Doucette video and putting every single one of them up with Mike O'Hearn. I'll actually be ranking these pretty fairly with the information that I know. But anyway, let's get into the video. Alright, first up we have is Ashton Hall. So many of you might know Ashton Hall by his crazy morning routine videos on TikTok. He's blown up recently on just how insane his morning routines are. But Ashton Hall is a 5'11" dude, and he's around 200 pounds as well, and he's been training for 8+ years. I think he's pushing about 30. I believe he's about 28 years old. He does have an incredible physique though, and he's been asked in a podcast as well if he's natural, and he does claim to be a lifetime natural.
People want to know, natty or not?
Here we go. This question. I feel like I'll be answering this question for my entire career. Which, like, you know, if I was on juice, bro, I would be super shredded. I would be like way bigger than what I am. I'm 5'10", 210 pounds.
Do I find this very hard to believe? I don't. He does have a very full physique. His shoulders and arms are quite insane. I can see why people are sort of questioning that natty status or want to find out about it. Do I think it's possible that he just does have a really good physique and he's been training for a number of years? I do, but I'm going to put him in at 100% convinced. Alright, next up we have is David Goggins. So many of you know David Goggins by his ultra marathon runs, just his unbelievable style of training and just how far he pushes himself. David Goggins is over 50 years of age though, and I believe he's around 5'11" as well, and around 180 pounds or maybe a little bit leaner than that. An incredible physique for a dude that old though. Do I think David Goggins is unnatural? No. Reason being, he preaches so hard and has built such a die-hard audience around really pushing your body to the limits. So, and he's also a massive advocate for not taking any hormones. Or incredible dude. His style of training is pretty unfathomable, to be honest, but I'm gonna put him at 100% convinced natural. I have no doubt that I don't think he's natural. Next up we have is Jesse James West. So big YouTuber, Jesse James West. He has competed in the past. Quite a tall dude. He's around 6 foot, 185 pounds, around that sort of mark. The reason some people have been questioning if he's still natural is because his physique's actually progressed quite a fair bit in the past year. He does have a really well-rounded physique as well. Do I think he's natural? I do. Too authentic of a guy to really just lie about that and be a pathological liar about his natural status. So I am pretty 100% convinced he's natural. Alright, next up we have is Lex Little. So Lex Little is 6 foot tall, about 185. He has bulked recently, so he's put on quite a bit of size and then cut it a bit, but he's also a very strong dude. You might know him in his prime to bench like 180, 405 pounds in his like first year and a half of lifting. Crazy progression video, very good genetics as well, but he's super strong. You don't really see that a whole lot. The way he trains as well is just like a fight or flight training mentality, which I kind of rate in Lex Little. I train like that a little bit myself. He advocates for being natural and staying natural more than anyone else. He also has a physique that's better than some people that have opened up and said they've taken PEDs, and I think he's 100% natural without a doubt. Just with the audience that he's built, I just think there's just no way that he could be lying about his natural status. 100% convinced he's a natural. Alright, next up we have is Shizzy. So this one's a bit controversial. Shizzy is 6'3", 240 pounds. He is not a small guy. He has been training for a lot of years though, like 10+ years, and I think he's about 28 years old, so he's not a really young dude. So do I think Shizzy is natural? I think the better question is, you got to think about it from this angle. Ronnie Coleman, there's an interview where he said he competed in his first natural bodybuilding show without taking anything. He was a complete lifetime natural.
Unlike so many others in bodybuilding, Mr. Universe insists his muscles came from hard work.
I was born with the genetics, which is something that's genetics is God-given talent.
And if you look at what Ronnie Coleman looked like, it's just unfathomable to think that that is physically possible. So Ronnie Coleman though, he does not have similar measurements as Shizzy. Ronnie Coleman was 5'11". I don't know what his weight was, but he's just absolutely shredded and just huge. So Shizzy is 6'3" and 240 pounds. So do you think that Shizzy could have that 1 in 1 million genetics to be able to put on size similar to what Ronnie Coleman did? That's pretty much the question that everyone everyone wants to know, right? So I'm gonna put Shizzy up at incredibly suspicious. Everyone else I've done so far, just on another level compared to them, but honestly just has that next level type of physique. So it is pretty hard to believe when you know, you're just the biggest outlier compared to the top natural lifters currently. So I'm gonna be putting him up there. All right, next up we have is Mike O'Hearn. Now, all seriousness though, Mike O'Hearn, dude's like 50 years of age, 6'2" or something, 40 pounds, lean. Just absolutely no chance this guy is not on anything at all. It's pretty blatantly obvious. Obviously he claims natural, but to be honest, if you believe that, you're a bit delusional. So I'm putting him up at the top on Mike O'Hearn natural. Next up we have is me. So I want to hear what you guys think. If you think I am unnatural or if you think I'm natural. So this is me at about 180, just a little bit over 180 pounds, and I'm 5'11". So I'm just gonna put myself in here at the middle, but I want to know what you guys think. If you think I'm natural, if you don't think I'm natural, I just want to do a little bit of an experiment to know when the average person looks at a physique what they think. All right, next up we have is Hussein Farhat. So Hussein Farhat has just now had a few videos come out exposing his natural status. This one guy called Anabolic Stick came out with a decent kind of video, but to be honest, I watched like most of it, and I think a couple of his points are valid, but a lot of it is just a bit wishy-washy in my opinion. Do I think Hussein is natural? To be honest, there's just a lot of speculation because of the time frame that he's achieved his physique on. He's been training for like 3 years, and he looks close to just as good as Lex Little at training 7-8 years. So it does make you question the natty status a bit. To be honest, I was gonna put him at 100% convinced. After watching that video and a couple of the exposing videos around him, the only thing that just doesn't sit right with me is the fact that he uses the argument that he competed in a natural bodybuilding show, but they didn't even test though. That's like one of his defenses against him obviously being natural. So I don't know why you would use something as defense when you know, you're never actually tested in the show. So also the fact that he co-brands with Greg Doucette as well, just that whole situation doesn't sit too right with me. But just putting his physique out there alone, I think what he has attained is achievable. I think when you have your nutrition and your training dialed in for 3 years, I think you can put on the amount of size that he's put on with really good genetics as well. So originally I was going to put him at 100% convinced, but to be honest, I kind of want to see where all this controversy goes with him. I'm going to put him at not impossible, but that is above slightly suspicious, so I think that's a good spot for him. Alright, next up we have is Jeff Side. Obviously has an amazing physique. I think he's about 6 foot as well. Do I think this is achievable naturally? Yes. He's also competed in bodybuilding shows, I believe. So to be honest, he has one of the best physiques, and he's sort of in that era where a lot of people were claiming natural and weren't actually being natural. So I'm gonna be putting him in slightly suspicious, but I do think the physique that he's built is attainable. So one of those guys that he sort of could be, but you don't really know. All right, next up we have is Alex Eubank. All right, so as we all know, Alex Eubank recently started doing TRT. So obviously he's come out and said that he's not natural. Props to him, because a lot of people, they do hide it from their audience because they make a lot of money from it. So props to him for coming out and saying that he's not natural, but we're going to be basing it on if he took anything before he came out and said he wasn't natural. So he's 170 pounds in these videos, and he's about 5'10". I think it's very achievable. Amazing physique. I'm not taking anything away from him at all, but I think obviously has his pros and cons with his physique. Amazing chest, amazing back. So I'm going to be putting him at pretty 100% convinced that he's natural up until he said he wasn't natural. All right, next up we have is David Lade. All right, so David Lade, we all know him, we all love him. Amazing physique. Also 6'3", I believe, or 6'4" even. He weighs around 190. Not like insane weight for his height. I'm gonna put him at, I'm pretty 100% convinced that he's natural. Obviously there's big speculation out there. Heaps of videos are made, natty or nots, on David Lade, but to be honest, I think he just could be one of those freaks. Greg Doucette thinks he's, yeah, definitely not natural, but I think it's attainable. I don't think he's like freakishly. There are people out there with genetics like this. All right, last but not least, we have Tonino Luketic, and this guy's from Australia as well. He's someone that keeps popping up on my TikTok. One thing he is really renowned for is his incredible triceps. He has crazy tricep insertions. It like comes all the way around his arm. It's pretty crazy. Very lean dude. He's also 6 foot as well. I think he's about 180 pounds. Yeah, amazing physique. People are being like calling him out for not being natural just because of arm genetics, really. But I do think he he's natural. I'm going to be putting him at 100% convinced. But let me know if you guys think I ranked these fairly. Chuck a comment down below on what you want me to do next as well. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.